Coming in on
On
2
a
million.
Friday.
2 million.
2 million what? 2 million downloads?
Yeah.
So in triathlete speak, we are nearing 25 billion downloads. So we're gonna pace
A modest
today.
number, but a happy number.
Yeah, a happy number. We're 2
mean,
million. That's a lot.
That shows some work right there.
That shows a lot of work from our family. Downloading after downloading after
Exactly.
downloading. It's no.
I mean, it's like,
It's a lot of downloads.
I know, but some of these podcasts are doing like 10 an episode. We're just crawling along.
Well, they're great. We're not. We're mediocre.
Hurry
Happily.
slowly.
Hurry slowly. That's right. We'll get to the finish line. They might burn out. We'll still be here. It's June 18th, 2021. It's a Friday. It's a great day here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Welcome aboard. This is the Crushing Iron Podcast, episode 488. Did I nail it?
I think it's 487.
487.
I got to go look back on my trusty notepad.
We usually have like a very...
I had it written down. But
we usually have a very,
got me
very
thinking
severe and intense yet brief pre-podcast and meeting.
Yeah, 47.
47, whatever, 487 anyway. Same deal.
Happy belated birthday again.
Thank you. Yeah, I turned 41 yesterday. It's kind of overwhelming.
I saw you shaking your head before the podcast. Is that what it was all about?
No, I mean, it was kind of like that, honestly. But listen, first and foremost, thank you for everyone who sent me a text yesterday or wrote on my timeline or sent me some kind of email that was like happy birthday related.
You have a timeline?
On Facebook, you have a timeline, and they call it like your timeline, your homepage. Like,
I know.
don't know. It's like happy birthday. I'm
it
like,
just sounded funny to me.
no, I'm like, I appreciate it. I did turn 41 yesterday. I'm not a big birthday guy. You and I, we
That's
never.
why I shied away from it.
Like you're a big celebratory guy anyway. You're just as much about birthdays as I am. We're like, sweet, we can just kind of carry on. Nothing changed. So I always kind of get a kick out of it, like because we're coaches, we work with athletes, like. And people put their own birthday as an event in Training Peaks. Like you think I'm giving you a day off? Like, we got shit to do. Like, no, you're getting the same thing you would have otherwise, no matter what. You just get to do it on your birthday. Like nice try. So putting your birthday as an event in Training Peaks doesn't get you a day off. Okay, if you want to put unavailable, you get unavailable. But as long if you don't put unavailable, you're getting a workout, baby. Like I went and got a run in yesterday. I was gonna hit the pool and do a little birthday swim. I was gonna do 41 100s, but I took Hayden to school in the morning and saw that the sign said, which is kind of like I was very lucky because there's nothing worse than showing up to the pool like you're amped for a swim, and they're like, oh, it's closed, and you're like,
oh, so you got the warning.
I got the warning. That's why I told you about it, and got back here and I was like, God, how am I gonna do 4,100 yards in this pool? But I did it. Focused in. Yeah, I did it yesterday. 4,100.
You did?
Yeah.
How do you do that? By strokes?
Well, so the endless pool has like the clock on it, right?
You did it?
Yeah, I did it yesterday. Did it by pace and time.
What's it do? Shut off?
No, I just did it like an auto. Like I set the pace on the clock that we have in the endless pool. Like it's basically if you're coming for a swim analysis, like you see like 135 on the clock. It's 135 like open. Like somebody just commented on. We had Liv came in earlier to get a swim analysis, and they're like, well, what's that translate to open water? I'm like, swimming in the endless pool is like swimming in open water, yet harder. You don't get turns, you don't get walls, you're swimming against a current. It's just like swimming in open water. You don't get like the benefit, because like in the endless pool, I swim in like the 130s, but when I head to the wide, you can push off the wall and do flip turns. I'm in like the high 110s, low 120s. So it's a lot harder. So I set the clock on the wall for my per 100 pace and set my timer in my watch to kind of go off in an auto lap. That way I'd always count to 41, so I knew how long I was swimming.
Oh, so it buzzes?
Buzzes, yeah.
And then you just stop for 15, 10?
15.
15.
Yeah, 15 to get back to work.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so now you can do that. So you're a tech guy.
Yeah, I'll do that today.
Yeah, I bet you will.
I'm sorry you didn't get to do it in the pool, though.
That's all right. Hey, listen.
I did that.
I got it done. Happy birthday to me. In my now that feel like noodle arms, because they're definitely tired from yesterday. But we appreciate you tuning in. It's your first time listening. Stick around. We will have a topic. We will have a discussion that's triathlon related, but this is not just a triathlon podcast. We talk about life. We talk about everything in between. We talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. We talk about how triathlon hopefully can complement your life, how sometimes it can even take away. We'll do race recaps, race previews. We'll have on the occasional guests, but for the most part, Mike and I, as coaches, athletes, and best friends, he's been doing this for 12 years now. I've been doing it for close to 20. we just talk about our experiences. We share what we're going through as athletes, what we see our athletes going through as coaches. Sometimes we'll pop into our Facebook group, which is Crushing Iron Group, if you want to be part of that conversation. But that's it. Open, honest discussion. No agendas, really. No ads, no sponsors. Hopefully just having a conversation where you can take something and apply it to your daily life, your journey. And don't cut and paste it. Like, listen, we're not professionals. We are not experts, as you've already seen the first, 8 minutes of this podcast, but we've just been around for a while. We're doing the deal just like you are. We're trying to still figure things out after being in the sport for such a long period of time. We're still trying to get better. We're still trying to figure out, time management, how to weave things in and working with our athletes. And it's a process. And I think that's why the sport is so wonderful and you can do it for such a long period of time, but also why it can seem so complex and so frustrating. So if we can, give you one little, or maybe even two little nuggets to take away to simplify things and allow you to kind of free up some space in your own mind to have more fun and get better, then we'll consider this a success.
Yeah, one or two nuggets.
Those
things can be valuable. You know what I'm saying? Like,
don't skimp on the nuggets. Okay? Nuggets make up.
A nugget can turn the whole game around.
A nugget can turn. That's exactly what I say. Like, to start off every swim analysis, I say, listen, we're probably going to find 4 or 5 things wrong that we could like hone in on your stroke. But what I want is for us to find 2, right? Not 2 that I think make sense, 2 that make sense to you, right? Because just because I want you to work on early vertical form or putting your wrist here, your hand here, or extending your arm farther out of the water, like, just because I want you to do those things and I explain it, if it doesn't click, it's meaningless, right? It's just like me telling you something I know and you're like, what? I don't understand that. What we want is to explain things in a way where you understand them, it makes sense, therefore you can now apply them. That is a nugget. Like, it's all we want to is find that. And then once we find it, we don't want to move on to the next thing because you just learned it. We want to like smash it in and just learn it. And we don't want to just kind of, okay, now we got this. You don't got it. You just did it. Like, you've swam like hundreds of thousands of yards the last 5 years. Just because you corrected yourself in this pool for 20 strokes doesn't mean you got it. So what we do, we just drive it home, baby. We just put a hammer, like, all right, you got this. Let's just roll with it. Like, do not pass go. Don't move forward. Just stick with what you got. Let's perfect it. Let's move on. And then work our way towards the back of the stroke. And that's why nuggets are so important. Because most people, they get to the pool and they think, let's see, I'm going to work on high elbow today. I'm going to work on my recovery. I'm going to work on my catch. I'm going to work on my breathing. I'm like, okay. Then you're basically going to spend the next hour continuing to be just okay at all those things because you can't really perfect anything by just kind of, mix mashing your way through trying to be okay at something for a 200 here and a 200. You have to do it repetitively over and over and over again.
You know what's so weird about that is I can't tell you how many times I've been to the pool and I've working on whatever, and then, I get to around 2,500 or, close to 3,000 or something like that. And then it's always like the second to last lap. I'm like, there it is. I got it. And then we'll do like an extra lap and stuff and go, okay, that's it. And then I go back to the pool the next time. I go, what the hell was
what the hell was I doing?
I know, but that's why I was talking to an athlete about this last night, and we were talking about swimming, and I said, to me is the point. Like, and I got to get better at this too. It's like when I leave there, I need to write it down, or write like Chris. If I'm not going to swim more to really cement it in, I got to really write something down, because that's why I implore athletes to comment in training peaks for me, but really for themselves first. If they learn something or get that nugget, they need to put it in there. And it's so weird how that happens with swimming, man. I know I had it down last time, but I cannot rember exactly what I was thinking.
What was I doing? What was I doing?
Yeah.
It's like
for me, man, it's
write it down, baby. It's all about context.
Yeah. I was swimming last night, and it's like so funny because how many times have I seen your presentation on swimming? I might
a lot.
I know all that stuff, and for me, the best thing to do a lot of times is just let it happen versus try to think of it all. And for me, swimming, when I feel at my best is when I'm just kind of flowing, and it's more like a dance than a procedural operation. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people can benefit from that actually, because they can't, you know what I mean? Like, we get old, we know what we have to do, right? And we really do. And it's just a matter of kind of letting it happen more than forcing it to always happen. And, if you're not great and you don't have the swim strength to keep the high elbow or whatever, just, kind of keep inching toward it or whatever and work towards it. So, and I don't know if you have a topic, but I've still been kind of stewing a little bit on this thing you brought up last time. I think it was the last. No. That the term possibility training. I thought, we got into that sort of at the end of the podcast, but I really like that as like, sort of, what are you doing today to get better versus am I hitting a goal today, or like what, the process. I mean, you just went through a swim analysis, and I'm sure there's like one thing or two things in there that, are going to be hard. It's not going to translate on her clock in the next few days or weeks or whatever, but it's sort of like, how do you move the long-term needle, because like what you did today is your future. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you get in a bad habit today, that's what's going to pop up later. So how do you start creating good habits and doing things that matter today for later? And that can be 14 weeks away at Ironman Chattanooga or something for me.
Well, and how we got into that, topic in the last podcast was about people who get distracted, right? Like all the time. And I think one of the major things, heck, we probably get distracted on this podcast sometimes, is like the main thing with training and with is you have to constantly be engaged, right? You have to be engaged in what you're doing. You have to understand it. You have to believe in it. You have to trust what you're doing is right, either the plan you're following is right, or what your coach is putting in front of you is right, that it makes sense, that it feels good, that I don't feel like I'm getting smashed. I don't feel like this, like we always say, like the best compliment you can get as a coach is like, that workout felt appropriately challenging, or that was the perfectly timed recovery day. Like that means everything is working seamlessly. Everything is working. The communication is great. The coach has a good feel for you. You have a good feel for the coach. Everything is going well. So it's about being engaged. It's not about like, and the same thing goes with like one of the things I say about focusing on one or two things is that, and again, like that's something that triathletes do, is like they have one or two. We have this like misconception of like how long it takes to get really, really good at something. It's like you can see and I have this specific conversation with one specific athlete all the time that will like reinvent the wheel, and this athlete will have like 3 or 4 really good weeks of consistent training, and then it's like, all right, time for a cycling block. And I'm like, okay, just because we just did this right for a month doesn't mean it's sticking already. Like, that's endurance sports. Things take time, right, to get, to get better. And so let's revisit this conversation in 3 months, because, and this is a huge thing with athletes, like especially because like I don't do a run block, or I don't do a cycling block, no, I don't do a swim block. Well, your blocks, right, or these cycles you go through with a specific sport focus within triathlon, are only as good as your ability to continue focusing. And I always give the example of like the 100 days of running thing, because the 3 athletes that I work with that did like the 3 100 days of running, only one of them right now is still running. The other one are just kind of like, I don't really want to run right now. I think I want to do something else. I'm like, so that run block, that streak, it was good for those 100 days. It wasn't good for the whole year. And that's just something that I think people need to wrap their brain around in terms of, and you get the same questions, we always have like the joke, like, load me up, coach, load me up. I'm taking a week off work, load me up. I'm like, okay, well, first off, you've been averaging 12 hours a week. We're not going to give you 20, right? Because the next week you're going to be so smashed, you're going to be at work, and now you're going to have to do 8. It's not about the week or the day. It's about months and months and months, and what you can sustain for long periods of time. Like, again, we talked about this, I think maybe 4 or 5 months ago, is give me the athlete that can consistently train 10 to 12 hours a week, every week throughout the year. I will take that athlete every day of the week over the one that goes with, I'm burnt out, no training. Here's a couple hours. All right, coach, I'm back. 16 hours, 12 hours, 8 hours. All right, I need some time off again. 20 hours. I'm going to load me up. 20 hours, 18 hours, 20, off. All right, let's try this again. No, it's about like, even if it averages out to having 12 hours a week at the end of the year, like, don't give me that. Give me the one who's. Why are you smiling right now?
Because this is just
it looks like someone's tickling you right now.
It reminds me of me.
It reminds you of you.
I know, but I'm keep going because
you feel validated. You feel affirmed right now. You have
no. It feels like, because I can be that guy, so I identify with that person.
Yeah, it's like, give me the person who's consistently ready, not the person who might be ready this time of year and this time of month. Give me the person who's ready all the time. I will take that person every day of the week, of the person who is spontaneously ready, where everything has to fall in line. But the fact of the matter is, even if it falls in line, it only fell in line for 2 or 3 months, and it didn't fall in line for the whole year. Give me the person who allows, the space and the motivation and the focus and the not the humility, but the restraint to not feel like they have to go 16, 18, 20 hours. Give me the one who just can give me the one who hits the singles. Okay. Give me the singles, give me the double, give me the athlete who just chips away, moves people, plays small ball all year round. And then maybe for a couple of weeks, maybe swing for the fences. But other than that, give me the one who plays small ball. Okay. 8 to 10 hours, 12 hours, 13, a couple 14s. And you're like, man, like how long does it take to ramp up for 70.3? Not long. Like, give me 6 weeks. Why? Because you've been doing 12 hours a week for the last 50 weeks. It's not that hard to bridge up versus, you plop in a training plan and you're like, oh, I can't understand why I'm feeling so tired right now. I just went from 0 training to 6 hours a week to 6 hours a week to 10 to 12 to 15 to 6. Like, you think your body adapts that quickly? No. It doesn't, especially when you're purchasing like a cookie cutter plan off the internet that doesn't know you. Sorry, it's not going to jump up that quickly. It's not accurate. That's why you probably feel fatigued and like, I didn't really feel like I got that better. That's why.
Mm-hmm. No, because I've done that. People that have done multiple races over their life or the 10 years or whatever their lifetime, they know that they know they can do it. And I think you get in this tendency, and I do it. That's why I was laughing, is that, I'll just come out of nowhere and be like, wow, man, let me see what I got here. And you just kind of want to see what you got. And then I always start thinking about that, like, okay, yeah, but if I was training for 10 hours a week for the last, 30 weeks and then did it, I know I can do it either way, but it's like how much, of that is confident level and then just experience or whatever. But then your body has actually some, fitness and background and is prepared to do it versus like you can just do it out of the blue. It's like I always talk about, it's like, any given day, even as little as I train, I feel like I could probably just go out and, slog through a half Ironman or something. But man, would it hurt. And it would just throw me back into the training grave for probably months, And then, so it's difficult to have that restraint and pull back and just let that thing build, So, and not only that, like you're saying, you can't get to the next level really unless you master a certain level. And I think that the mastery part is what gets lost in this a lot of times. It's sort of, it took me many years to understand really how you should feel like during an Ironman bike or a half bike, Like I would fight through it and I would battle and I would do okay and I would have a strong bike. But then when you learn that it doesn't have to be that hard and you can get to a point where it isn't quite on, as hard as it, is for a lot of people who do their first or second or don't, properly train up to that level. And then that's when it sinks in, like, that feeling, right? That effort and what it's going to take to not just absolutely destroy yourself, but still hit your peak.
Most athletes, I think this is like a chronic problem with triathletes in that you shouldn't, in tradition, like this is how you coach. Like this is how you should coach in terms, because it's about managing stress, right? Coaching is all about managing an athlete's stress, not just their training stress, but their life stress, like their schedule, their responsibilities, their relationships, their work, their professional life, like, oh yeah, and their training. It's about managing all of that. It's about understanding where triathlon fits within all those levels of stress. I think every athlete, especially if you're a self-coach, would benefit by looking at your training and how and when you should ramp up like this. If I look at a week and it just kind of seems like a run-of-the-mill week and you can do it for 2 or 3 weeks, then it's time to bump it up. Okay? Every week shouldn't be, I don't know how I'm going to fit this in. But you know what? Next week, let me increase the hours because I'm supposed to ramp up. Like, like I got 10 or 12 hours this week. How am I going to get this in? I know I missed one, I missed two. You know what I'm going to do next week? Maybe 14. You're like, how am I going to get this in? What's in the training plan call for next week? Oh my God, it calls for 16 effing hours. Like 3 weeks ago, it gave me 10. I only completed 5. How am I going to do 16 hours this week? You should look like
a bunch of coffee.
Drink maybe that won't even help. Like
I know, but it won't, and then it gets you in the hole even further.
Yeah, you're like, can we do that?
Jacked up, I can do this.
And so, like, this is like from the athletes that are the most consistent, who are those, like, small ball athletes who end up, scoring a lot of runs in races. Is it's become so the schedule almost it's not I don't want to say effortless, right? Because it's not, the training isn't effortless. It's about, and this is like the analogy I give in the pool. When you see someone that they look like their stroke is going slower, and they look at the clock and they're like, holy crap, like, you've gone a lot faster. It's not because they're moving slower, it's because they become more efficient, right? And that's how you should look at your training schedule and your plan. It's like, oh, I got this. You know what? You want to know why? Because I did it last week, and the week before, and the week before. And you're like, dude, I got this. I can do this week with my eyes closed. That's how you should look at a week, right? 80% of the year, that's exactly how you should look at your week. I got this. Like, dude, coach, are you sure? Like, you want to give me more? And you're like, no, dude, you're improving at what we have. Like, why would I give you more? Because you got the time for it. You can get it done. It fits well in your life. You're responding to things well. You're recovering well. You're getting fitter. That's how you want life and training to look 80% of the year. Maybe even, honestly, 90% of the year, until you get to your big race. And then that's when you want to increase. That's when you might have to make some sacrifices, or you might have to be a little more diligent in time management or your recovery. That's also like the small amount of time you have to just have the bandwidth and the effort to be like, all right, I can do it, but I've only got to do it for these 6 weeks, right? Like, I've only got to focus for these 6 to 10 weeks, not the whole year. You've just got the fitness where, all right, I can only maintain, because the other time of the year you're not stressed about it. Training becomes who you are and what you do. It has just become part of your life. It doesn't fight with your life. It doesn't, cause, a bunch of inconveniences or obstacles. It just becomes part of your life. When it becomes that, then and only then can you think, all right, I can probably ramp it up a little bit. Like, I can maybe stretch it here, stretch it there. I want to stretch the whole thing, but I can maybe stretch it here on the weekends, or maybe condense here and stretch here. That's when you move it, because it fits into your life. That's also such a common theme when you see athletes in the summertime. They get more mentally and emotionally burnt out because they've been peaking for the last 16 weeks in their Ironman build phase. I'm like, yeah, no wonder you've been trying to slam out 25-hour weeks and you can only complete 16. You feel like you're running your head against a wall. Like, that's why you feel like crap. Set yourself up for success for the things that you can do, not that you hope to do, not that you think you can do, the things that you know you can do. And that is obviously the biggest role of a coach, is to empower you to see, I know you can do this. It's safe. You can do it. You have the time for it. Let's get it done.
Mm-hmm. And it's great to have things that you want to work on, right? And back to swimming, I know that things are going well for me when I'm, hitting that lap button, but I'm not rushing towards it. I get done with the lane or whatever, and I touch the wall and I kind of look and I'm like, all right, cool. And then I just gradually, because I think a lot of people get so caught up in that lap time that, how many people do you know that are satisfied working on a stroke versus that can literally do that the whole time versus worrying about their 100 pace?
Well, most triathletes get in the water and they just can't wait to get it over with and get done and get out.
Yeah.
That's what they're like. I want to skip my rest. I'm going to swim straight through. Just get me out of the water. I'm like, okay, we just practice being the same speed with the same flaws as you did before.
I just was thinking back because I played college baseball, and then when I got done with all that stuff, I was playing competitive softball in the summer, and I was never, ever completely comfortable with my backhand, and I would used to work on that. I got into this weird space where I was like, man, I really, I was done with college baseball, and I'm sitting here going, man, I really want to get good at that backhand. So I go throw wall balls for an hour and just do that stupid drill over and over and over and over and over. And it just started showing up in the games. But I think that somehow we have to get to that point as athletes. It's what's our weakness? What do we want to work on genuinely and actually work on it versus always just trying to be faster in the, our workouts. And it takes a lot of, that's why I love that possibility training, because it's you don't get caught up in the device or the Garmin and the numbers that are showing, but in your heart that you're working on something that matters. And that could be climbing hills. It could be, because it's always the stuff that doesn't show up well. And then the confidence level it takes to work on things when they're not going to show up well as a record, day of record, It's man, you look at your overall workout and you're people look at that and go, what were you even doing? Well, no, I was putting in the work the right way. You know, I was going up that hill hard, and then I was recovering, coming down, and it was taking a long time, but I was getting stronger. And you know that in your heart when you're working on stuff. But just to go out and just like, you know, just cruise around every day and just like, you know, average that 18 on the bike, you know, that's the thing. It's like 18, I know I'm still there. Yeah, but are you there? Are you ready to hold that for 100?
A minute. Yeah, you're there for a minute. Like, oh, no, I can hold that for, 200. No,
I
you
can
can't.
certainly hold that for 35 miles. I could probably hold that for 112. The answer is probably no. And
the answer is for sure not.
You
no.
certainly can't run off of that.
No. Like, if you want to picture your training and how and this is maybe a buzzkill. That's all right. We do those. Is when you think about constructing your plan for the year, what you should picture is not a win every single day that comes up in like, a number of data. Like, oh, well, I crushed it today. It's going to be like this every single day. Like, I'm going to have like a PR every single day. I'm going to beat yesterday every day. And that's what's going to happen. It's not. Close your eyes, open up a 2,000 piece puzzle and dump it on the table. That is what day one looks like of your training. Okay. That's what day one looks like. Okay. Mm-hmm. The next day you put another piece together. The next day, another piece. The next day, another piece. Next day, another piece. None of them seem like they're making a huge difference, right? Into the whole, there's no highlights. You don't see anyone take a picture of like, take a look, guys. This is my Friday night. I have a 1,000 piece puzzle, and here's 19 pieces collected and put together on my, my puzzle board. You're not going to get any likes. No one's going to like that, right? Because it's kind of like, you're like, that's boring. I don't see anything that's being accomplished. Yet, if you do like a time-lapse photography of it, and you see one piece a day, one piece a day, one piece a day, one piece a day, over time, in weeks and months or a year, your training creates this giant, whatever picture puzzle you created, it's done and it's complete. But if you remove one piece, it's not finished. And that's it. That's how you should look at your training and racing is every single piece matters. Everyone, the border, the center, the ones, they're all the same shade that you think you're like, these are not a big deal. They all matter in making and painting the perfect picture for your year. You can't just skip one. You can't skip ahead because you're going to get lost. You're going to start over again. You're going to put a piece where it doesn't belong. You have to take your time and understand. And I think just embrace the fact that you won't know the end result and see it until it's done, right? Like you're not even allowed to look at like the picture on the box, right? Like for reference, it's just like, you won't even know how awesome it is until you're done with it. Some athletes have a very hard time wrapping their brain around that concept of just like, because we live in a world where everyone likes to act like they know everything or they can predict everything. Guess what? You can't. And that's even true in athletes. Like, so where do you think, based on where I am right now, I can be in 3 to 4 months? Dude, can't tell you. Like, that's your, genie in the bottle moment for the day. I have no idea because we just don't know. You don't know. I don't know. But the fun part is let's figure it out together. Let's see where we can go, especially if it's like in a condensed window. Like, oh, well, I've got 90 days to my race. How much improvement do you think I can have in my run in those 90 days? Dude, no idea. Are you able to run 6 days a week? Are you able to run 3? How can you handle the load? Are you going to be traveling? Can you be consistent? Like, I don't know those things. We'll just know when we know. And that's something that, athletes love. They feel like they have to know in order to feel like athletes have become so obsessed and reliant on knowing in order to feel committed. They have to I know I can do this. I know I can hit this number. I know it's going to be self-programmed in Training Peaks or Zwift or Trainer Road or on my Garmin. Like, I have to have it done for me to know and know and know, and not just like, I have to just trust and do my best and see what I feel like. And then if I do that every single day for the couple of weeks and months, I'll end up where I want to go. Mm-hmm. Or I'll end up where I want to be on race day. But here's the other thing. I don't even know where I'm going to be. I can hope I might be somewhere. I might be faster and be slower, but you just got to participate in it and do your best. Because again, I don't want to know how fast I can be, because then I might think, all right, well, what's the point in trying? If I know I can be that way, then I've already figured out all the self-discovery is gone. It's just like, all right, I can do that. All right, well, let me move on to something else. I don't know what I can do, because I think there's just so much fun and enjoyment and hard work, right, that goes into not knowing how fast or how long or how good you can be at something, or if you're, or, you know, for me right now, it's like, you know, are your best days behind you? I don't think so, but I'm about to find out. You know, I'd like to find out. You know, like to me, that's what gets me back on the bike, gets me in the pool. You know, or like right now in the pool, it's like, I wonder how close I can get back to, because like that's one of the things about swimming is like, if you swim, you're ungrown up, you took a long time off, I'm never ever going to say ever again, this is the best swim shape I've ever been in my life, because it's not. It'll always be back when I was like 13, 14, 15, when I was doing hundreds under a minute. Like that's always going to be the best I can be. So you know, make that analogy or that comparison to anything else you want to in triathlon and cut and paste it. But for me, unless I wanted to go like, you know, swim, like basically give up triathlon and just go back to swimming, there's no way I'm ever going to get back to that level of swim shape. But does that prevent me from wanting to still get better at where I am right now? No, I want to see how close I can get, you know, based on the training that I'm doing. That's what excites me. You know, can I go under, you know, 103? Can I go under 105? Like, I feel like I probably can if I really put in some work. I feel like I could bust out of like a sub 105 100. Can I beat it? You're grinning at me like, I see you're probably gonna try this pretty soon. Like, I feel like I can do this. You know, because I think 3 years ago I swam a 28:50. Like I was in really, really, really good swim shape. And it's gonna be the best, no, but like I still want to figure out. I still think I got like some part of it in me. Like, what are you laughing
No,
at?
because I can totally. I mean, like
this is totally you. Like you're always like the.
Oh, I know.
Dude, I know I got it, dude. Like I went out
I'm
for
the guy that still thinks he can play minor league baseball.
I know you're like, dude. I went out
50s.
for a 10-mile bike today, dude. I'm pretty sure I could do an Ironman tomorrow. that's
no,
like
but
your
I was
thing.
laughing because I'm just picturing you watching these swim trials, going, if I think I put my head,
Dude,
I might
totally
be able to,
am. I'm like
lane 8, maybe.
I'm
You know, I
like-
might be able
I'm
to
like-
slide in
I'm
lane
like-
8.
I'm like, this person, they're 37. I'm on 41. Give or
Yeah.
take. Look, I could probably be ready for Paris in 4 years.
I
Like,
think
could
that's healthy,
probably-
though. You know,
I
But
do too.
Also, you have a line that you say all the time: progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
And I saw another line spun off of that called progress equals happiness. And I really like that. I was thinking about that today, and in using your puzzle analogy, it's sort of like every time you wake up and put a few more pieces in that puzzle, you have a new picture. So like, where do we find the joy in that? Because that's what's happening, right? But we get caught up in the overall, you know, goal and everything like that. And we're like, we're not at our goal yet. We're not there yet. So that kind of like, I think, at least for me, I think it might put a level of, you know, disappointment, or like it kind of ekes in there because like, I'm not at my goal yet. Like, so that's sort of the problem I've always had with goals, is that they, you know, we're kind of talking about it in reference earlier, this podcast was something that when you have a goal and when you have something out there, you know, if all you're thinking about is that goal and like really having it now, it kind of creates a enjoyment of the moment. You know what I mean? So like, it's something interesting to think about a puzzle, and every day waking up and looking at it and going, wow, I got a new picture here. It's different than yesterday. And that's the growth. And if you can find that happiness in progress, that might be the key, you know, the secret to all of this sport, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, because I love the way that you put that, because it's not like when I give the analogy, the puzzle, it's like you wake up every morning, you see what's there, what you've built from the night before, because everything's connected. Yeah. Then guess what you have to do? Close your eyes again. Put the piece where you think it goes, and then you don't see it again until you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh, maybe I like this picture's gotten pretty cool. It's kind of a little bit better. I like where this is headed.
Yes.
It's not finished. You just like where it's headed. Okay. And then you close your eyes again, you put some pieces together, you wake up the next morning, you're like, yeah, you know what? You get close to race day, you're like, I can kind of see this coming together. Like, it's not done. It's not finished. I don't know what it's exactly going to look like, but you know, I kind of like the progress that I'm making. Like, this is kind of cool. Like, I really kind of enjoying seeing every day what happens, and like, you know, the totality of the moment. You're like, all right, let me wake up tomorrow and do it again. And then you do it and you're like, dude, I get it. Like, this is fun. I'm enjoying it. This makes sense. I'm not having to like overthink everything I'm doing and like trying to do like, oh, well, then I'm going to close my eyes for 2 weeks and come back and try to put 9 together at once. You're like, I have no idea where I was. Because the more fluid, the more repetition you have, the more consistent you are, the easier things come right to you. It's not like having to relearn it every single day. Your fitness, your mind, your motivation, being part of the process is so fresh in your mind because you're a part of it every day. You don't go on vacation from your goals. You are there doing something every single day. It's when athletes get like so insanely wrapped up in the shit that just doesn't matter, that they paralyze themselves, not just from a physical standpoint, but from an emotional, I say it all the time in this podcast, emotional. It is the emotional and mental aspect of it that ends up crippling them, not as triathletes, but your enjoyment of the sport that keeps you really, really, really happy. And I think that's something that you have to just, I think, again, with all the numbers and data and expectations and, you know, and that's why, again, like, watch the Olympic swimming trials, because like they put their blinders on, right? They get on the block, they put their blinders on, they swim hard, and that's it, and it's over. It doesn't matter how, you know, to most of the degree, it doesn't matter how fast they swim. It matters what place they get. You know, it's just the best you can do against who's there. That's it. You know, like, I loved and this is like, my first thought was, that's so many triathletes. Is they were interviewing Bob Bowman last night, who is the famous coach out of Baltimore who coached Phelps, and his coach has got a bunch of high-level Olympic swimmers. And they were asking about a girl last night. I can't remember what event she swam, but he said she's the best trainer I've ever had, which says a lot, right? Yeah. The best trainer I've ever had. And then the commentator said, well, but she hasn't been. But then he followed up with, like, I think we've yet to see her put it together in the pool, like on race day. And he was quoted as saying, "Next time you go swim, leave your brain at home, because you've done all this work, you've done all these things so incredibly awesome, and you put in all this hard work. You're leave your brain at home. Stop thinking so much. Just go do. You know." And that's like, it sounds so simplistic and so like almost archaic, but it is that simple. It's to like stop overthinking and overanalyzing everything. So think about it, like the best tip one of the best swim coaches on the planet gave to one of his best swimmers wasn't like, all right, we really need to work on the early vertical form coming out of turn 3, or really got to work the walls. It was, leave your brain at home. Like, that's how in-depth most coaching is. It's simple. It's just like, it's getting people out of their own way and allowing them to be great in their own right, rather than getting wrapped up in the would, the could, the should, or the I didn't, which is robs you, again, not just of like, you know, emotional and mental joy, but also usually physical performance.
That's good, man. I was thinking, you know, I'm watching these swim trials too, and I get like, I can't do flip turns, and a lot of people are like, should I do flip turns? I'm like, I don't know, man. And like, I can't. I mean, I can do them, but they don't feel comfortable with me or whatever. But I'm watching these swimmers, and I'm like, oh man, I hope they don't screw up this flip turn. And then I think to myself, they've done a zillion of those. They're not thinking about it. They're just doing it. And I suppose that'll happen to me at some point. If I swim a lot, I'll just maybe do one, and I'll be like, well, that's how you do it. You kind of see it, and that's leaving your brain at home a lot. The puzzle thing, like if you wake up one day and you're like, man, I put those couple pieces in there, and that wasn't where they were supposed to go. You know, to me, that's sort of an analogy for, I just had a bad workout day, or things aren't working well. But then, you know, like, I think, how do you manifest that and sort of say, oh, well, at least I understand now how not to put these in, and I can just put them over here in the right place or whatever, let it go, and things like that. And so you may have delays in your puzzle, your picture coming together or whatever like that, but you have to sort of shift mindset somehow, because we all have bad workouts, and things are cruising along, and suddenly it's like, oh, where'd that come from? That was awful. And how do we disconnect from that? How do we just let that go? And like you're saying, not overthink a bad workout. You have 6 great days, and then one day is a little off, and then that becomes you. You know, that's I think a problem that we can have in this sport, is that we harp so much on one off day or one bad performance or whatever the case may be, even though in the big scope of things we're moving right in the right direction. But the timing of a particular day, or, you know, sometimes it's a race. When people have a bad race, they think they're not doing anything right, but it just so happens that, you know, maybe they're the best trainer we know, that they didn't like bring it all together on race day. So now that's the next piece you got to figure out.
It's so much of it is just is letting go of so many things, letting go of feeling like every day has to be perfect. It's not. Some of your runs are going to suck. Some of your swims are going to suck. Some of your rides are going to suck. But you know what? And that's how we describe, like, you know, workouts, you know, 10%, you're going to feel like you should quit. Put your bike on eBay, buy, see you later. The other 10%, you're going to feel like, I don't know, dude. I think I can probably go pro. You know, like I probably get there. That's like me in the pool. Like, I don't know, I think I could probably compete in Paris if I really put things together.
That's
and
like 20% for me.
And the next day I'm like, I can barely swim. Like I'm doggy battling. The middle 80% is just boring as is, prescribed, doing the work. Like, but we get so wrapped up in the other, like the 20% is like, see, I'm getting faster. I should be getting faster again tomorrow. Just you feel just like this. Those are the outliers. The greatness days are the outliers. The really crappy days, those are also the outliers. Where triathletes and just athletes in general get themselves into trouble is that all they shoot for are the great days or the bad days. Because if you shoot for a great day every day and you don't get it, guess what? I got on this athlete earlier this week. Well, it wasn't my greatest swim, but I'm like, well, dude, you want to know why? Because there's only one. You only have one greatest swim ever in your life. The rest of them are all going to be not the greatest swim. So like reframe the verbiage that you're using. Like, cause I think stuff like that is just like, it's kind of like ninja-like self-criticism and bad self-talk. It's like, well, it wasn't my best. It wasn't my great. Well, it may have been the best you had today. It just wasn't your lifetime best. Because you know what? You've only got one lifetime best. That's it. Everything else is not the best. And I think like wrapping your brain around that, like, oh, I guess that's okay. Well, it wasn't my best 5-second power from, 2014. Okay. Well, first off, like, who cares? Like right now in the pool, if I got out and I said, well, that wasn't your best swim, Robbie, because, you're not even swimming as fast as you were when you were 14. I wouldn't go back right to the pool. I'd be like, well, if I can't be the best that I've been in my life, what's the point? But instead of my point now is like, I just want to keep getting better at what it is. Because that's the thing is like, you never know what your best is going to be, right? In some frames of life, like, if you're, older, you probably can look back and think like, all right, I'm probably not going to run a mile under 5 minutes, right? But that doesn't prevent you from getting out and running, or having fun and being a part of like seeing it. Because that's the thing is like, this is about having fun with your life and with your experiences and with your fitness and making you healthier. That's the fun part. It's not about self-degrading and criticizing yourself and guilting yourself and shaming yourself over a effing hobby, which is what so many people do all the time. I'm like, why do you even do this? Like, it's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to get healthy. You're supposed to be competitive in a way that's supportive of yourself, not that you're competing against like all these dark, evil voices inside that telling you aren't good enough. Like, have fun with it, because I promise you, you're going to end up probably being in a much better space, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally, than you will if you just keep beating yourself up over and over and over again. Like the intense ratio that some people have in terms of like feeling like they have to get their workout in. I have to. Ask yourself, why do I have to get it in? If you don't get it in, are you going to be more hurt physically or more hurt mentally and emotionally? Like I had an athlete earlier this week who had a bunch of like swim mishaps and went to one pool and it was like, bad experience, and went to another pool because it was lightning. Another thing was this, and got home like all the while she was thinking about like, I need to get home to my son and hang out with him. And in like a 1 hour swim turned out like a 2 hour and 45 minute affair. And my response was, next time, skip your swim and go home. Like, because that should relieve all of the other bad crap that happened, all of the stress. Like, go home. Like, skip a workout. Make yourself feel good. Like, this sport is supposed to make you feel good. It's not supposed to make you bang your head against the wall. It's not supposed to make you feel bad about yourself. It's not supposed to make you keep it's supposed to make you have fun, become healthier, and empower you. And if that's not where your headspace is, and that's not relationship you have with the sport at this time, it's time to reevaluate either where you stand with it, how it stands with you, who's supporting you in it, or anything and everything in between. But it's supposed to be about maximizing all of the good things in life, not reiterating all the things that make you critical and negative.
Mm-hmm. Going back to your 10%, and everything else in the middle, I was just thinking about how that could be. I think a lot, like sometimes, 10% are our worst workout ever, and then 10% we think we can go pro. I think sometimes, like, for me, my 10% are more like 20%. And I think a lot of people get into that. We're more extreme. So it's like a lot of times I'm, oh man, I just crushed that. I can, podium all over the place. And then the next day or whatever, it's like, oh man, I'm just so out of shape. What am I doing? I think maybe the goal is to sort of shorten those ends, from if they're at 20%, get them to 10 and maybe down to 5. It's just so there's less kind of drastic fluctuations in the whole process, because then it becomes harder to, like if the more of those you have, the more you're going to want to counteract it, and you're going to kind of be ping-ponging back and forth instead of just steadily rising up in that progress, ascension. So, and it also, when you said have fun, that just reminded me of like how races can be fun, and how my best races are, I usually have fun with them. So it's like you break them up, right? You have to work in races if you want a success story, but you can also have those fun moments, right? Where, there's a lot of times you can have fun where you're like maybe coming out of T2, you don't have your head down, busting out your best marathon right away. That's a time to say, hey, and smile and have some fun with some people along the way. Or even on the bike course, sometimes you just ran up a big hill and you had a hard 20 miles or something. Enjoy like pieces of the race instead of like enjoying the whole race. I mean, you can enjoy the race, but you know what I mean? You have to focus. Yeah. But you can have breaks.
An attitude of gratitude. I think it's one of our podcasts. Is one of my favorite ones. Is like, you always race better. Like going back to what you said about the 10%, like your obsession over the 10% is like gauging every single place you're going to go out to eat on Yelp. Okay. The only people who Yelp are people who have the best experience ever, or the worst experience ever. And they probably go one time. It's the person like wannabe foodie that's like, oh, I had the most brilliantly exquisite taco at this stand. It was an emotional, spiritual experience that I will never be able to replicate in my life. And I felt rejuvenated from a spiritual standpoint because the sauce they had on top was it was both eclectic and mesmerizing. Yeah, period.
This truck drove straight here from Guadalajara. So authentic.
I couldn't even understand the words they were saying, but it was music to my ears and beauty to my stomach. That's the person who Yelps. And then you got the person who's like, Sally was the most selfish, pathetic waitress I've ever had in my entire life. She has no business being the
Here's her Facebook page.
Yeah, here's her Facebook page. Here's a picture of her driver's license. With you? And it was the worst customer service I've ever had at any restaurant. The food was great, but Sally was just awful. I would never recommend going to this place ever. Period. Okay. Sally probably had a bad effing day, right? Probably got broke up with, or probably had a really crappy day, or maybe coming off like, a death in the family, yet you're taking out on her with your stupid Yelp review. And that's your experience with one person, even though the food was great. Yeah. Because we see this, food was perfect, like, or hotel reviews. Hey, the room was awesome. Like, the great, everything there I wanted to. But John, when I came to the front desk at 2 a.m. at midnight shift, he was really not that kind to me. You're like, bite the wall. Like, those are your 10%ers. Okay. Those are the 10% workouts. Okay. It's the Guadalajara food truck and it's Sally's bad day Yelp review. Okay. None of those are relative. Like, none of those. Because A, it's about your own experience. But B, most of it are in like the 80% of people who are like, that was a pretty good meal. I'm probably going to go there again. Don't need to Yelp about it. That's exactly like you and I. Have you left a Yelp review for State of Confusion?
No.
Me either. Yet we've probably been there, 100 times?
Probably.
Probably send 500 people there. Like that's the 80% of your workouts that are just like, hey, I like it. You know what I want to kind of do? I want to go again. Because it's just really, really good. It's not like, you know what I need to do? Hey, dude, State of Confusion is really, really good. And it's consistent. It's consistently good no matter what it is. You know what we should do? Let's go find something better, right?
Yeah.
And then that's where life gets screwed up, when you try to find a better State of Confusion.
Yeah, it's like going to it's like you've got your favorites.
You got your,
what works, and then you go on that menu and you go to page 19, and you're like, hey, this looks interesting. And the next thing you know, you're ordering, like spaghetti at a steakhouse, and it's sort of this weird, combo dish or something, and you're like, why? What do you do? I just like try new things. Well, okay. Try new things.
Yeah. And tomorrow, get right back.
You'll be afterwards. Like, and then you're just staring. And we're finishing our steaks, and you're looking at us with a half full plate of food going, I shouldn't have ordered this.
Yeah, I shouldn't order that. I'm like, I told you, stick with the steak. Yeah, listen.
I know, boring.
Stick with the steak. The meat of it.
Stick with the steak.
We hope you took the meat of this podcast, and frankly, one of my favorite part of this podcast was our Yelp review.
Always fun.
Yeah, always fun to kind of go off. But hope you enjoyed. Hope you took something positive from it. Follow us on Instagram, C26_triathlon. You can find about all the awesome things going on with our team. We got team highlights, athlete highlights, racing rosters, race results, some analysis stuff, a bunch of stuff coming up because we have camp next week. Go to our website as well, C26triathlon.com. It is always and always will be our one-stop shop for all things coaching, camp, and communities. Our club membership's going on still. You can click on the coaching tab, scroll down 3, click on that, and then also check out the awesome variety of coaches we have right now. If you have any questions for Mike, you can always reach out to him. He is at crushingiron@gmail.com. If you have any questions for me, I am at C26coach@gmail.com.
Yeah. If you used to play baseball or softball, give me a holler. I'd like to talk about your backhand.
Yeah.
Crushingiron@gmail.com. Oh, we can also talk about triathlon.
Yeah, and swimming if you want.
And swimming, yeah.
I can talk about
We can talk about swimming. I can talk about softball.
swimming.
All right, buddy.
All right, dude, see you, man.
Have a good one.